If you've ever taken a little stroll through a neighborhood, you might have come across a free little library. The way that these stay alive is by putting one of your own books in after taking one out. So I thought it would be interesting to only rely on these free little libraries to do my reading this week and see what people are putting in these things. I just found the first little library. This is actually way more difficult than I thought it would be because I was using this little app to show me where they were, and I drove like 17 minutes to this nice part of town and none of the little libraries from the app were there in real life. So I finally stumbled upon one. I'm praying there's a good book in there. I brought 4 books. The Hobbit, I mean, classic, read it myself. I did enjoy. Better than the movies. One of my favorite young adult romances. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, also 5 stars. Also younger people can read this. And 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Amazing young adult fantasy book. So I think I'm gonna bring this one with me and let's go scope it out, shall we? It's kind of next to a road, so we'll see how this goes. That was the most amazing free little library I think I've ever visited. There were actually like 2 or 3 books that I kind of wanted to take. They had The Martian by Andy Weir. I've watched the movie, but I own Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I know that those books are like super well loved. They have awards and stuff like that. And then they also had Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney in there, which I gave that book 4.5 stars. And they had Normal People, which is a super popular book that I have not read. I've read like 20 pages of that book. But I thought it would be more fun to pick up a book I've never seen before, and this one looked pretty cool. It's called 2 Lives by William Trevor. It just looks like something you would find in a free little library, but it looks really good. It says one of the 10 best books of 1991. It's a Penguin classic, and all of the reviews on the back were amazing. These novels will endure, and in every beautiful sentence there is not a word out of place. A sensibility reigns here which is at once inquisitive and loving. Trevor's is among the most subtle and sophisticated fiction being written today, and I think there's 2 novels in this one book, so maybe we only have to read one. I don't know what we're gonna do. This could possibly be a tearjerker. I have no idea what it's about, and that's kind of the beauty of it, but it's an old book and it seems critically acclaimed. The first novel in here seems to be 222 pages. Okay, the first book has 470 ratings. I'm so excited to read this. Who knows what we have in store? I got home and read 20 pages of the first short story and I fell asleep, and now it's 7 p.m. Not a good time to be taking a nap, but it did feel like I was reading Pride and Prejudice with a lot more easy English, but still old. It feels more like a classic than like a fun little easy peasy read. I just woke up, if you can't tell. So far, we have this 35-year-old man going on 2 dates to the movies with this 21-year-old girl who he likes, and her family's like, don't go on another date with that man, but she did. So let's see what happens next. So 2 very peculiar things have happened since beginning this book. Number 1, my wisdom tooth extraction site got infected and started swelling again. And number 2, she falls in love with her cousin in this book. Picked up a random book from a little library and there's incest in it. Okay, now here's the thing. I did some research on this author, William Trevor. He's been shortlisted for the Booker Prize Award, which is a really highly renowned award. And if you look him up, it says he's one of the greatest short story novelists in the English language, and he's from Ireland. So this author is, I think, in the literary world, very respected and considered a great author. And I only read the first short story in this book, which is titled Reading Turgenev. Oh, I meant to go look that up, how to pronounce that because it's a Russian name, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I didn't look it up. Reading Turgenev, and I'm going to call that good. I'm not gonna read the next short story in this book. And when I was looking up reviews for it to see if anyone else was freaking out about how she falls in love with her cousin, from what I gathered from reading the reviews, it's supposed to be a short story that's commentary on how this woman that we're following got married to a man that she didn't want to marry. He was like older than her, not attractive to her, all of these things, but she just thought to settle down and have a good life, she should do that. So it was a marriage of convenience, but she never actually is in love with him at all. And she suddenly goes to visit her cousin one day and is convinced that they're in love because she had a crush on him for like 2 weeks when she was in elementary school or something. And then suddenly you get another timeline where she's in an asylum. So then you realize you're reading the story of how she ended up in that asylum. And it's not supposed to be like a romance book. So I think that's why people aren't freaking out about how she's falling in love with her cousin. It's supposed to be this commentary about like how delusional this woman went from this marriage that she didn't want to be in, but how willing she was to just stay in it and like never deal with it, I guess. All of that was not spoiler information because I read it in tons of reviews and I think it's like on the back of the book. Not that I really expect that many of you are going to read this short story, but I'm grateful that this experiment made me read William Trevor because I don't typically read people who make it onto the Booker Prize shortlist. That's cool. It's also older literature, so I get to kind of see what people like about it. I think it kind of goes to show though that I read books, not literature. I read books now for a very different reason than you would like read literature. I read fiction books for entertainment, and I feel like this is the type of thing that you read so that you can dissect how he constructed a short story, what kind of social commentary was he making on Ireland in the 1950s, stuff like that, that you would like, I don't know, do in an English class. And that's not why I read most of the time, like 99% of the time. But I do love writing, and so for that perspective, I do appreciate getting to read things like this every once in a while because I don't really do it by myself. So that's cool. Good morning, guys. I just got back from the dentist because I've been dealing with a post-surgery infection. We got everything sorted in there, but she told me to keep drinking water. I was like, that's funny. Can I drink water that's flavored through scent? And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Stay away from sugary drinks, but yeah, drink water. And I was like, what if I told you? This video is sponsored by Air Up. I was like, what if I told you that there is no sugar in the water? It's just water. It's still water, but it's scent-based flavor. This is my cute pink water bottle. I currently have the peach flavor on there, and you just pop it up like this to activate it. And a fun life hack that I saw someone talk about is that if you're in a reading slump, you should make it a challenge to where you're gonna keep reading your book until you finish an entire water bottle. And then it's fun to like be doing something while you read. So I actually do really enjoy this water bottle. And my favorite scent pods are the mixed berry, the peach, the lime. Those three are really good. I have a link in my description if you want to check them out. It would also make a really fun present. But yeah, thank you for sponsoring this video, Air Up. I don't know if you can tell that it's still swollen on this side, but I feel like I'm like one day away from this being gone, hopefully. Okay, I have resorted to just driving around to find little libraries, and I just stumbled upon a pink little library, so I'm very excited right now. I'm gonna bring this book with me. I don't know if I'm going to find any that I want to read immediately, if I just want to do a little tradesies. I don't know. Let's go look. Oh my gosh, no way. Hello. Oh wow. Hello. I am not gonna do tradesies. I didn't like anything in there, but they had ACOTAR and A Song of Achilles, which are two very popular books. Ever since going to that little library, I have not been able to stop thinking about how Normal People by Sally Rooney was in there and how popular that book is, but I've never read it before. And there's a TV show, and people who I watch really love that book. And I just kept, especially while reading this and having some boring parts, I was like, I really wish I would have just chosen Normal People by Sally Rooney. So I decided I'm gonna start reading it. I didn't take it from the little library because I already have my own copy. It's a UK copy actually, and I really enjoy the construction of it. It's like a kind of cardboardy short paperback. And if you don't know, Sally Rooney is actually very famous for not using quotation marks around her dialogue, which is something you have to get used to. So I think I am in the mood for this kind of like literary fiction romance book that's definitely not a rom-com, and I'm pretty sure it does not follow the rom-com structure where you know it's gonna be happily ever after. This one, I'm guessing, probably won't be. So let's start this one. I like like Sally Rooney's writing because she writes delusional thoughts that characters have. And that's something I want to see more of. Not just in a thriller book, but in like a normal romance book. The characters are always so interesting, and it always makes me get my little pen out so I can underline. So I've been reading Normal People for the past like 2 days, and I'm on page 200, and this book is only 221 pages, I think, which was so shocking. I had no idea it was that short. Or wait, it's 266 pages. I actually have way more of the book than I thought. I thought I had like 20 more pages. No, that's gonna take me like an hour. Okay, well, I guess I need to keep reading this, but I cannot believe this has just been sitting on my shelf. It's so popular. It has like 1.2 million ratings on Goodreads, and I have already read Conversations with Friends by her. It's one of the few books that I have tabbed and annotated, and I gave it 4.5 stars, which is such a high rating. So the fact that I did not immediately pick up Normal People is crazy. I think it's because I had read like 15 pages of this one time and then decided I couldn't get into it. That's just the memory that lingered in my brain whenever I thought about this book, but it's so good. Can I just read you some of the quotes that are in here because I'm obsessed? Okay, this one is a quote that I like because it's so delusional, but I feel like I wish we could see characters having delusional thoughts more often because I love it. Okay, I don't know how to read quotes without it sounding cringy, but here we go. He knew she was probably getting dressed in her room, and whatever clothes she was wearing when she came back down would be the clothes she had chosen to put on after she saw him in the hall. Like, the delusion for thinking everything that your crush does revolves around you. I love being able to read that in books, because when you have a crush on someone, you're insane. Every thought you have revolves around them, and you think they're living like that too. The longer she stays silent, the more nervous he feels. Like maybe she really would pretend not to know him, and the idea of being beneath her notice gives him a panicked feeling. There was this one quote that I didn't have my pen on me at the time, so I can't find it, but it was something like, she looked like a religious piece of art and it was painful to look at. If you've never read a Sally Rooney book, you kind of have to, I feel like, know the vibe that you're getting into, because it's not a rom-com whatsoever. She writes, some people think they're unlikable characters. I feel like I always like unlikable characters, and then it's kind of embarrassing to me when people are like, oh, they were so unlikable, and I was like, oh, what does it say about me that I liked the unlikable characters? But I just like that she's writing people that are just supposed to be realistic, because I feel like the only other time I get to see that is in thriller books, and I don't read a ton of literary fiction, which is probably where I could read more like that, but I just don't pick it up that often. So her books kind of feel like a literary fiction version of a romance novel. For some reason, this line really just itches something in my brain. She felt happy to be surrounded by people she liked, who liked her. She knew that if she wanted to speak, everyone would probably turn around and listen out of sincere interest, and that made her happy too. Although she had nothing at all to say. It's just very like mundane, and she touches on these like microscopic thoughts that I feel like no one has ever written down. I've never read these written down thoughts before. So it's just very satisfying in a weird way. Also just like, I feel like if you love this book, you understand my reaction, but I feel like a lot of people also just hate this book and do not understand the hype about it at all. This line, she feels her shoulder muscles relaxing, like their solitude is a narcotic. She is just encapsulating that feeling of everything that you do with that person is amazing. Like even just sitting in the same room together and not speaking, even that feels like a drug. Like I love that delusion, but also reality, question mark. He senses a certain receptivity in her expression, like she's gathering information about his feelings, something they have learned to do to each other over a long time, like speaking a private language. Yes, please. I'm obsessed. Before I keep talking about the book, I should probably read the last 66 pages. Potential 5 stars? Possibly, because of how much I'm obsessing over the quotes in this book. Also, one last thing, you're either gonna fully understand this or be so confused, especially if you're my like 7% of male audience who watches my videos. Hi. I just got a very special package that I've been looking forward to for so long. Oh my gosh, they come in little bags. I got 2 jelly cats. If you're on TikTok, you probably know what this is. They're just stuffed animals with legs. And I'm obsessed. Oh my gosh, I got this star. Why are they so cute? If Spock sees this, he's going to think they're his, so I need to put them on the shelf. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. And then this one is gonna be tiny. It's a little cherries. Little cherries. This one is so small. Where should we put him? Okay, that looks horrible there, but we'll find a better place for him soon. For now, I read. He's perfect. Comment down below what this star's name should be. Just finished it. This book is so You're Losing Me by Taylor Swift. Do something, babe, say something, you're losing me. I don't know what I'm gonna rate this book. Also, I just found out from the back of the book that this was her debut novel. Her first book. When people like Sally Rooney exist in the world, it makes you never want to try writing. Because why should you try when people like her write their first book and it's this one? That's insane. That is ridiculous. I'm so curious to read the reviews on Goodreads because I know that I personally love this book, but I know before I ever read it, people really don't like Sally Rooney at all. And that she just writes like the same boring, unlikable white female characters, which I get, but I happen to be one of those people who like those unlikable characters, like I said. Also, I just love a good romance book that does not follow any normal rules of like third act breakup, and I guess literary fiction books can just follow whatever kind of storyline they want, but it is really refreshing. I'm gonna go think about this. I'm back a week later and look, someone took 6 of Crows. That's so cute. I hope they enjoy it. Bye bye. That's my outro.
Nice.